In this video, I'm going to go for a quick overview of what we've done so far, so we'll be on the same page. We've created a virtual environment consisting of multiple servers and clients. We finished installing client 1, client 2, and 3 servers, one of them acting as our domain controller. We've also configured the firewall or the router, which is VYOS in our environment, and we've connected the virtual switch, so the virtual router is basically connecting all of those interfaces to the real world and between them. We've created multiple segments. We have the segment 1, which is internet accessible, so client 1 and client 2 can reach the internet. And we've created segment 2, which is not internet routable, so it's not able to go to the internet, but it is able to be routed, and client 1s can communicate with machines in segment of 2, and basically we have full connectivity between them. We've also finished installing the domain controller and create the domain that we're going to use throughout the lab, and basically we're ready to start doing some heavy lifting in terms of application, software configuration, and some more advanced topics that we need to do in the lab. But this is a pretty good baseline to create any lab, and you can take it pretty much and stop here and take it to any other use case you would like and modify it slightly and such. So finally, we reached part 2 of the lab, and this is where things starts to get interesting. In part 1, we mainly focus on creating the infrastructure, installing operating system, and doing some very basic tasks in order to get everything up and running. In part 2, we're going to dive deeper into the application layer, install some services, configure them, and start giving our lab actual functions, so we'll be able to test it or test new products against them in order for us to actually have a real environment working with services. So without further ado, these are the main steps that we're going to take in this segment. We're going to install a few services that are related to infrastructure, like WSUS, backup server, email server. We're going to install a web application server in order for us to host a website and also have some interesting use cases with a website later on. And we're going to configure a database backend server. And basically this will just support the web server once we get it running. And of course, there's a few extra steps that we're going to take on the backend server to make it a bit more interesting. In terms of Active Directory, there's a few common tasks that we'll need to do. We already redirected the computers, so we don't really need to do that, but we need to create some groups like an IT help desk group, an IT domain group, and all kinds of restricted groups if we want to show some use cases. We'll delegate permissions, and also we'll create some GPOs. And GPOs, if you're not aware of, is how we can map a policy to an object in Active Directory. So we're going to create some policies that will specify some permission or some restrictions to a specific groups and users. And this will be where we're going to wrap up part 2 of this lab environment and move later to part 3.